So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Mary Muller.
And what do you do, Mary?
I used to be in pictures. Well, my voice was anyway. But I'm retired now.
Retired?
Why, sure. At the ripe old age of 32. Why not?
So, what are you doing these days, Mary?
Writing mostly. But I'm sure you already knew that.
Absolutely. Your new book, already topping the bestsellers list. The End. Somewhat based on your own life and experiences, is it not?
It is. And in answer to your next question, yes, it's no secret that I've made my feelings to that foul lunatic, Don Slattery, from my experience with him.
Yes, you have spoken publicly about him several times of late.
And what's one more, right?
In your book, you recall you were 6 years working for Don's Moving Pictures Company. Could you tell us a little about that?
So, I joined in 1929, I believe it was. I had already done a few plays in the theater on the same road. Some of the guys that were regulars were all staff at Don's Moving Pictures for years. I made friends with them all. Edwin, Tom, Jack.
So, that is Edwin Slomas, the composer, and Thomas White, co-founder of Don's Moving Pictures, and Jack
Dwyer. Such a sweetheart. He was always good to me.
and Thomas White and Edwin Slomas. What did you think of them?
Thomas was a decent guy, albeit a little spineless at times. I would be surprised if he ever did stand up to Don. Mark my words, it'd be the death of him if he did. Edwin was kind of quiet, but the guy was a genius.
You mentioned you did a few plays at the Victory Theater, wasn't it? Tell me about that.
Someone did their homework. Sure, well, I was young, probably 17 when I started there. Bit parts mostly, nothing leading. Probably only took center stage once or twice whilst I was there. But those guys really took a shine to me. Looking back, I think they were the first to actually take the time to listen to me. Make me think I could actually make something of myself.
So what made you decide to join them?
Well, it started small. I showed them a couple of doodles that I'd done in an old notepad. I remember Tom holding up to one of the show lights overhead, so the light shined through, casting the drawing onto the bar table. I forget what it was now, but I think it was a little teddy bear or something like that. Anyway, I remember Jack, who was around 21 at the time, started doing this really silly voice. It went from there, really. We started pitching what the character might say. And finally, I broke out and said, "Whoopsie!" in the most cutesy voice I could muster. Then they all sat there and stared at me. I could tell from that moment that Tom and Edwin had already started thinking about how he could get my voice into a cartoon.
And then you did.
Well, not right away. I learned later that Tom and Edwin spent the next month or so trying to persuade Don to get me on board. Jack told me that he was so fixated on those silly, simple Tom cartoons that he didn't want to ruin the good thing he had going. If you ask me, I think he just didn't like me from the start.
So, what changed Don? That's Don Slattery. What changed his mind?
Well, Tom visited me a couple days later. We sat together and had coffee at the diner a couple blocks away. I'll never forget him. Sat there with that rough gray suit he used to wear and those big, thick glasses. He told me that it probably wasn't what you were expecting, but I think if you get your foot in the door and show your commitment, we'll get you there.
What did he mean by that?
He offered me a job. First as an assistant, running mostly. Then as time went on, I became an inker, then a story writer. Then finally, I got the opportunity to work in sound with Edwin. My job was to help with the Foley sounds. It was terrific. Edwin was very enthusiastic to get me in.
Do you recall what your first acting role at Don's Moving Pictures was?
Few people know this. My first role was unaccredited. It was the voice of the mermaid song in One Bad Crab. It was sped up a little to make it sound more high-pitched. It was me. I did a couple of things after that. I can't name them all.
You mentioned that it was uncredited. Why was that?
Simple. It was Don. The man was paranoid. He got it into his head that I was trying to turn others against him.
I don't follow. Why would he think that?
I used to have a drawing board when I was in inking. And sure, sometimes I doodled. I created my own character. I did one drawing of her stood next to Tom. Simple Tom, that is. It was quite a scene. He was holding up a single limp flower as she reluctantly accepted it. I called her Moira. On Monday, I came in, and the drawing that was pinned to my desk was torn up and crammed into my inkwell. Don sent a memo to the department later that day that said personal drawings are not permitted. Some trash about infringement. I don't know.
And that was the first incident you encountered with Don Slattery?
One of them. Tom and Edwin were eager to start introducing some new characters. Don was not. I, of course, pitched Moira. They loved it and wanted to give it a try. So, starting doing some drawings and took me to the recording booth to record some lines. When Don found out, well, that was the worst of it. The bastard smashed the window of the recording booth with me in it, stormed in red-faced and screaming at Tom and Edwin. When he got to me, the things he said, they were awful. I wept for days afterwards, vowed there and there never to go back.
What about your designs and your recordings?
Maybe Tom saved them. Maybe Don burned them. Who knows? From what I heard, it wasn't long after that Jack left. Then Edwin. From what I hear, it's just him and Tom now.
Thank you, Mary. One final question. We know that you went on to have quite a successful career in film after that. But do you think you'll ever go back into the world of cartoons?
Well, I suppose. No. No, probably not. I do rather think that part of my life is over.